Command's Public Relations Officer DSP Yazid Abubakar confirmed the incident to correspondents via the telephone. He said the councillors representing Gidangona and Sibiri wards in Maradun local government tourism Zamfara and the imam of the community were taken away by the suspected terrorists. According to him, the victims were abducted in front of their houses in the Sauni area at about 7 p.m. on Wednesday evening, shortly after prayers. News also reports that Sauni community is located behind the Federal Road Safety Zamfara Sector Command Headquarters in Gusau. The community had hosted internally displaced persons affected by armed banditry from different communities. Abubakar, however, said the command had deployed its men to the area and efforts are ongoing to rescue the 3 victims. The PPRO urged the residents to assist the police with relevant information in good time to curtail such incidents. Meanwhile, the chairman of Maradun local government, Sanasu Gamagiwa, corroborated the PPRO's information via telephone, adding that the suspected terrorists had actually abducted 6 persons. Now, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASIN, has distanced itself from the federal government communique that announced the suspension of its nationwide strike against Dangote refinery, insisting it did not sign the documents. The union suspended its industrial action on Wednesday, October 1, after government's intervention very recently. Appearing on a Monitor television program today, PENGASIN President Festus Osifo explained that the communique presented after the negotiation was actually not in agreement between the parties. He clarified that the communique was only a communication by the Minister of Labour and Employment, who acted as chief counsellor in the matter. Osifo said the core of PENGASIN's demand was the reinstatement of the disengaged staff. The union leader dismissed suggestions that PENGASIN's fight was about check-off dues, stressing that the priority was ensuring its members could return to work and provide for their families. You do know that the strike, which began on Sunday, paralysed parts of the oil and gas industry, with union members barricading the NNPC headquarters and other regulatory agencies in Abuja while chanting solidarity songs. The federal government quickly stepped in with the Minister of Labour, Mohammed Dingyadi, and the National Security Advisor, brokering late-night talks. At the end of the negotiations, Dingyadi confirmed that over 800 disengaged workers would be reassigned within the subsidiaries of the Dangote Group without loss of pay. However, Dangote Refinery denied any wrongdoing, saying the restructuring was necessary for safety and efficiency. The company explained that out of its 3,000 Nigerian employees, only a fraction were affected. The industrial face-off also moved to the courts. The National Industrial Court sitting in Abuja issued a 7-day interim injunction which restrained PENGASIN from continuing its strike. Elsewhere, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has requested an urgent review of the nation's electoral laws as part of its efforts to conduct the free and fair elections in 2027. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who made the call today when he hosted the European Union follow-up mission delegation led by Barry Anders, asked the National Assembly to review the existing Electoral Act, while the INEC chair actually submitted that the operations of INEC were actually guided by legal frameworks and the uncertainties regarding some existing laws may serve as a big encumbrance for INEC. Professor Yakubu, in a very recent interview, while intervening in matters concerning INEC, said that, as you are aware, an election is a process governed by law, asking that it was quite pertinent for issues at the legislative chambers concerning INEC to be reviewed immediately, appealing to the National Assembly for an expeditious consideration of the reform proposal. An early passage of law, according to the chairman, is critical for planning elections. The INEC chairman thereby commended the EU for its engagement with the Commission aimed at promoting the integrity of the electoral process and declared readiness to strengthen partnerships for the 2027 polls. Well, in his remarks, the chief observer of the European Union Election Observation Mission, Barry Anders, who is also member of the European Parliament, stated that the focus of his team is to verify the response to the recommendations made by the EU team that monitored the last general elections. Andrews, who revealed that his team has been around in the last 3 weeks, commended INEC's commitment to recommendations that would add value to the electoral process in Nigeria. In the same vein, potential candidates nominated to succeed Professor Mahmood Yakubu as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission are being interviewed and vetted ahead of President Bola Tinubu's consultations with the Council of State. Impeccable sources close to the development disclosed to correspondents that while the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation prepares to circulate invitations for the meeting, nominees are undergoing checks by the Department of State Service and other relevant agencies. Now, according to another source, there are names for consideration. It is likely that some of the names being heard on the list are being considered. The process is on, and the president will convene the Council of State meeting most likely when he returns from Lagos. The checks on the new nominees come as the tenure of the current INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, actually comes to an end. Yakubu was first appointed by former President Muhammadu Buhari on October 21, 2015 and reappointed for his second tenure in December 2020. By law, the INEC chairman serves a renewable 5-year term. He oversaw 2 general elections, multiple off-cycle polls marked by both innovations and huge controversies. During his 10-year tenure, INEC introduced biometric voter authentication and electronic transmission pilots. However, the system suffered malfunctions during the last election, drawing criticism over delays and disputed results. Yakubu, who completes his second term in December 2025, is the longest-serving electoral umpire in Nigeria's history. Up till now, Yakubu has not explained to Nigerians what caused the electoral glitch in the presidential elections of 2023, despite several observations being called out by the International Observation and Military Board on what transpired on the set day of the election. The Council of State is a constitutional advisory body chaired by the president and composed by 7 governors, former heads of state, former chief justices, the Senate president, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Attorney General of the Federation. Its responsibility includes advising the President on appointments such as INEC commissioners, the National Population Commission, and the prerogative of mercy. The source also explained that in these kinds of appointments, there are often 5 to 6 names being considered. There are security checks by the DSS that will invite them for interviews and check for suitability. Since the 1993 cycle, Nigeria's election umpires has come from a handful of zones. The Southeast produced Professor Humphrey Nwusu from Anambra, who supervised the famed June 12, 1993 polls, and later Professor Maurice Iwu from Imo State, who oversaw the 2007 polls. The South-South produced multiple chairpersons during the transition years. These include Okon Uya from Cross River, who served briefly after June 12, and Soma Dagogojak from River State, who served as NECON chairman under Abacha. Justice Ephraim Akpata from Edo State, who oversaw the 2011 and 2015 elections and is widely credited with restoring confidence after the 2007 cycle. Mahmood Yakubu was succeeded from Boji Northeast, who conducted the 2019-2023 polls, expanded the use of biometrics and other forms of tech being used to conduct elections. You're currently listening to the World News right here in Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, more news, and then we head into our news analysis segment. Do kindly stay with us. for staying with us. This is still the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has denied reports claiming that he intends to step down for another presidential aspirant ahead of the 2027 general elections. You do know that reports circulate that Atiku vowed he would step aside from the 2027 presidential contest if a younger aspirant defeated him to secure the African Democratic Congress ticket. The Waziri Adamawa reportedly made this known during an interview with the BBC. He explained that his focus for now is to help build the ADC into a strong party with national and grassroots structures. However, in a statement released today by his media advisor Paul Ibe, Atiku described the reports as a deliberate misrepresentation of his current interview with the BBC Hausa service. Ibe explained that both the video and transcripts of the interview in Hausa and in English were carefully reviewed, and nowhere did Atiku say, suggest or imply that he would step down for anyone. Well, Ibe criticized what he called an attempt to twist the former vice president's words. Ibe insisted that Atiku has not made any decision to step aside before the contest begins. Now, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has appealed to Borno South Senator Ali Ndume to use his influence in the Senate to push for more budgetary allocations to the FCT. Wike made the appeal on Thursday during the official flag-off of the installation of integrated hybrid solar lighting in Abuja city districts and expressways under the Light Up Abuja program, Lots 1 and 2. While the minister, while acknowledging Ndume's presence at the recent event, urged him to ensure the FCT requests for funding are given priority. Wike also thanked both the Senate and the House of Representatives for their support, stressing that the FCT administration would continue to justify every allocation released. It's now time for our news analysis segment, where I'll be joined via the telephone with Mr. Elvis Elimihele. Mr. Elvis Elimihele is a political, national and social affairs commentator. Mr. Elvis, good evening. Thank you for joining us right here on the World News at 6.
Good evening, Esther. How are you doing?
I am fine. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome.
You're welcome.
All right, sir. Let's look at what the presidency today was reeling out about 12 gains of the president's economic reforms. Now, during on X, formerly known as Twitter, the special advisor to the president on media and public communications, Mr. Sunday Dare, in his post said the country's economy, which was at a breaking point before Tinubu assumed office, is now recording measurable progress. He also explained that the reforms have touched critical sectors or critical areas, as it may be, including trade, foreign reserves, taxation, debt service, fuel subsidy removal, budget deficit, public financial management, and that in the past Nigeria operated multiple exchange rate windows which created distortions, but right now it's not the same. Things are now more better, more straightforward and even. But unfortunately, we keep hearing Nigerians say they're not feeling all of these reforms the administration keeps telling us. The president keeps reeling out all the achievement. He talked about the fact that we're fighting the war against insurgency yesterday during his national broadcast, but that's not what we are seeing in Kwara State. More abductions are taking place in so many regions, in so many states. That was what was not addressed yesterday. He also talked about the nation's foreign reserves. Now, these foreign reserves, a couple of persons will say, what exactly is the mitigating or impactful effect to the average Nigerian on the street, considering that in terms of hierarchy, we no longer have the average Nigerian. It's now the poor, the very poor, and actually the rich. What's your take on this, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Esther. I think the rhetorics that are coming from the ministers of Bola Tinubu's government is so, and all his states, is so, it's an absurd, and it's so shameful, because he says Sunday Dare asked him to go to his village and walk freely without all the aids, all the their personal armed guards that they go along with. Let him just go to his village, his town, and walk freely on the street like a common man, and see the ovation he's going to get from the people, whether it's going to be pleasant or not. You see, when they keep reading out these statistics, they don't know that the statistics they are reading out of the paper is not what Nigerians on the streets are feeling. He talked about insecurity. You saw what happened last week. The students from the students that were called to bar in Abuja, that they were coming back home after they were called to bar. You saw what happened to them between Auchi and Okene. The same between Kogi and Edo State. Then you saw how the bus was, all the part of the bus was commanded into the bush. Into the bush. You saw that. You see what is happening in Kwara State now. Kwara State, villages are being sacked by bandits. But this government will come and tell you that the insecurity they have overcome it. Then they keep quoting figures. What with foreign reserve? Is it not the foreign reserve? I saw a scroll message of 750 million from World Bank again. You know, coming to Nigeria. Then just talking about the economy is better. Every day we keep hearing borrowing. And this borrowing, where are they siphoned into? So when you hear their aides coming to start defending this government, when Nigerians are hungry, Nigerians cannot pay their bills, it's so depressing. And that's why I'm challenging them. The same way they are saying is becoming favorable. Let them walk on Nigerian streets really and see how they are going to be entertained or accommodated by Nigerians on the street without them, guarding themselves with all the military and all the policemen around them. So when they are coming to say all these things, it's annoying. You went out with a vote for this independence that you played yesterday. You heard what Nigerians were saying on the street. That is a live interview, candid interview for Nigerians on the street. What they are feeling about this independence and what they are feeling about this economy. If they really want to be truthful to themselves, they should go back and adjust and begin to tell Nigerians and stop telling Nigerians lies. Because 2 weeks ago, I bought some quantity of Gary in Lagos. There's somebody that is coming down. Today now, we just bought the same quantity. It has even increased beyond what we were saying last 2 weeks. That's the same Nigerians are telling you food is coming down. So what are we talking about? So this the government is not wanting to be sincere to its responsibility. Nigerians will wait for them at the pool in 2027. I pray that what we saw in 2023 will not repeat itself. That we will have genuine pools. Because this is why I keep telling you that we own this nation and we have to take the nation by ourselves. We have to make sure that there is electoral reform between now and 2027 so that what we saw in 2000 and 2023 will not repeat itself. All those gold mines and those banana peas that they put everywhere, politicians, when they are talking on reform, we should be able to extract them out of this electoral reform so that we cannot see that this IRED we are going to use, it will work electronically so that Nigerians can vote and believe in their vote. INEC must be sanitized so that this process that we are hearing from government, things are coming down, insecurity is gone, the people are now in school, Nigerians are living better. Then we will not know whether it will reflect in the voting system of Nigeria in 2027, Western.
All right, Mr. Elvis. Now you know what happened in Rivers in Rivers State, where the governor who has recently resumed from his suspension. Now, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court dismissed a suit instituted against the president, challenging the March 18, 2025 proclamation of a state of emergency there. Now, the declaration of the state of emergency by the president was what led to Fubara's suspension, and also led to the appointment of a sole administrator. Now, a couple of analysts like yourself said what the president did was unconstitutional and totally authoritarian. Okay, almost like he's running a unitary system of government. That is what a couple of analysts like you said, including legal practitioners as well. Now, because of what happened, a group which claimed to be Concerned Rivers Indigents, led by Belema Briggs, had actually taken the president and 3 others before the court, challenging the legality of the presidential action. Now, Mr. Elvis Elimehele, for 6 months and the court did not address that matter. And all for Fubara to resume his duty after the suspension, that's when the court is now dismissing the case. What does this mean?
Judiciary has disappointed Nigeria, Esther. If you do a vote pop on Nigerian institutions that they believe that have failed us more, Nigeria will tell you INEC, they will tell you judiciary, then maybe they will add NEPA or whatever and police to it. These are things. So what do we expect? The man has come back after the kangaroo, whatever they call dialogue now. He's come back. But is he actually there as governor now? Does he actually have the peck of the office as governor of Rivers State? So even if the judiciary has even commenced that case since that matter was brought to court, you would have even seen that even the judges, the assigned judge would have even thrown it out too. Because they had all doing the bidding of the president. So I wasn't expecting anything special that was going to come out of that case, Esther. Whether they commence it at that match before or the judgment has even come, the judgment has even told that the president did the right thing. So at the end of the day, now that the governor is back to his seat, what you are going to hear is that it's become an academic exercise. That the governor is already back, so it has no effect. So it's going to be thrown out. That's how to describe it. It's an academic exercise now because the governor is back in seat. But these are some of the things that we are talking about. That we have to begin to talk of a reform. The constitution we are talking about. We're hearing amendment. At the end of the day, they will use state creation to create the amendment because everybody wants a state to be created for his family because everybody wants to be governor in Nigeria. At the end of the day, you see that when after all the referendum now, the next thing you are going to hear is that okay, it is not have this state because state creation became an issue, and as a result, all the money and time for the amendment that would just be wasted and thrown out. This is why everybody is having his own field day in his own office in Nigeria because we have not had a standard constitution, we've not had a functional institution, and everybody that comes in just do his own and go. That's what you are saying. This is the present era we are now is an era that whatever case you take to the court now, whether political or whatever, whether you do your fasting and prayer as a Christian, forget about it. Because it's only one man that now has the judiciary, that has the executive, and have the legislature, and that's the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. The most powerful president is what? Ahmed Bola Tinubu. That's what we are saying.
All right, Mr. Elvis, again, it's quite unfortunate because a couple of analysts predicted that this was what was going to happen for those who actually took the case to the court. They predicted that the court may not actually pay attention to this matter as soon as possible, which, based on what you just said, that the judiciary is under the vice or the grip of the executive. And like I said, or like we have been saying, it will be quite unfortunate if the judiciary is not independent in its decision-making process regarding state or federal government matters.
There's nothing like independence, like again. There are no check and balances. The three arm of government is supposed to be that each of them, the federal executive and judiciary functions individually, independently. Unfortunately, the worst of all is even the judiciary and the legislator. Because the legislative arm are supposed to have that check and balances. They are not doing their job any longer. Esther, during the military era, we had the executive and we also had the judiciary. It was not even as worse as this during the military era. We see some the judges could give judgment and tell the military men, the military judges that this is wrong. We were still seeing judgment that were still favoring civilians. They were still seeing judgment between state and individuals there. And the judiciary will still make a pronouncement against the military. But today, the judiciary don't make a pronouncement against a civilian government. A civilian government that is democratic government that is supposed to be that the judicial system is supposed to be the regulator of that government. Unfortunately, the judiciary is not playing blank eyes to whatever case that comes to the court. It's a shame.
It's quite unfortunate, Mr. Elvis. Now, the potential candidates nominated to succeed Professor Mahmood Yakubu as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission are being interviewed and vetted ahead of President Bola Tinubu's consultations with the Council of State. So there's a Council of State and impeccable sources close to the development, disclose to correspondence that while the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation prepares to circulate invitations for the meeting, nominees are undergoing checks by the Department of State Service as well as relevant agencies as well. And the security agencies are meant to screen these individuals. The source also said that some of the names that we have been hearing may actually be true, that they are being considered to be the next INEC chair. While all the screening is ongoing, they're waiting for whatever consultation needs to be made before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu returns from Lagos. With this report, it means that President may be returning to Abuja on Monday or possibly by the weekend. So basically, Mahmood Yakub's tenure would be expiring by November. He'll be the one to conduct the next upcoming general governorship elections in Anambra State. That may be his final duty before he leaves the office. Now, we know the person of Mahmood Yakub ever since he was appointed as INEC chair way back in 2015. He was one responsible in conducting the 2019 elections and the 2023 elections. Both elections conducted had controversies surrounding it. The 2019 elections, there were talks of the elections being rigged. The same thing with the 2023 elections, despite him promising that the tech innovation, that is the IREF portal, which will be a means through which results being transmitted in real time will be observed by everyone. There was a glitch that up till now he's not been able to explain, and because of that as well, multiple off-season elections that were witnessed, we saw election irregularities. The action to judicially take care of the irregularities were not taken serious under his purview as the INEC chair. And now, as it seems, we're hearing talks that there's some disappointment in several quarters. There are talks that he may even spill some certain things if some people decide to go haywire or some people decide to do something else. So, in regards to this, is this a process for bringing in a new INEC chair? These nominees, who are the people presenting these nominees? We had the Attorney General of the Federation and a couple of others are part of the consultation committee that will do the screening. So my question is, are these the individuals that determines the next INEC chair?
This was part of what we were saying, that if there is a reform, INEC chairman is supposed to be like advertised and let Nigerians, credible Nigerians, apply. Then let the screening be done by the NJC, National Judicial Commission. Let it be done by a separate body. Then when they pick, then it cannot be sent to the House for ratification. That's what we have been talking about, But fortunately, you will see that the person that is going to succeed Yakub Mahmoud, will be worse than Yakub Mahmoud himself. The person that is going to succeed him.
Why are you so certain about that?
No, Esther, since I'm talking like a doom prophet now, but when eventually that name is thrown to Nigeria, by December, because Jega is leaving by December 8th or so, by then the name is unveiled to Nigeria, you will hear, we will still be here analyzing who that person is. Like, we're still going to analyze it, Esther. That's when what I'm saying this evening will become reality to you. You are going to see the person that will succeed Mahmoud Yakub will be worse than Yakub administration. Go and mark it. This is a government that came and told Nigerians that there was a glitch in the election. But at the end of the day, today, he has not explained to us, even when Amazon that gave us that system said worldwide they never had anything like glitch that day. But he told Nigerians there was a glitch. Today he has not explained to us what happened. Then do you think that Ahmed Bola Tinubu's administration is going to bring in a credible Nigerian, a Nigerian with integrity and sincerity that will conduct 2027 election that will be either against him as coming back as president? Have you thought of that? When Jonathan appointed Jega in 2010, Jonathan never knew Jega. Some of us knew Jega because he was one time ASU chairman in this nation. That was when I heard his name, I was happy. I said, no, this is a credible person. You can see the election Jega conducted in 2011 that brought Jonathan to power. He came with card reader. He was one that introduced card reader.
In 2011 or 2015?
2011. I'm talking of Jega, the former
brought in Jonathan.
Yes,
okay.
That brought in Jonathan in 2011. Jega get that election. Nigerians were hopeful. You see, Nigerians will now begin to have interest that election process in Nigeria is becoming, becoming scrutinized and it's becoming clearer that we can have vote and have our vote counted. Unfortunately, the person now considered Jega. Look at what he gave us in 2016 and look at what he gave us in 2019 and look at what he gave us in 2023. It became worse. So we back to where we are coming from again, zero. So the one that is going to succeed Mahmoud Yakub is going to be a disaster on Nigeria. Go and mark it. I'm telling you today, because we thought these shenanigans that you see from this government quoting different figures. You think they're going to bring somebody that will not buy into this shenanigans around this government that it's not clear to Nigerians. They keep telling you everything's working well. When we know that what we are feeling on the street is quite different from what the figures and the statistics they realize from us from their Nigeria Bureau of Statistics and whatever. So I'm not expecting anybody better. The only issue is that, like I keep saying, democracy belongs to the people. Unfortunately, Nigerians are still enjoying whatever these people are pushing to us. That's why we are still in this position we are. So whoever comes in 2020 in December this year, the new INEC chairman, don't expect that we are going to have a better election in 2027. It's going to be worse than what we had in 2023.
But Mr. Elvis, are you not supposed to be hopeful?
Hopeful in a situation where I become hopeless every day? How do you expect a hopeless man to be hopeful? Is there any structure on ground for me to be hopeful? Huh? Is there any structure, Esther? Answer me. I know you are the one that you are the contractor of this program. There's nothing on ground to be hopeful about. They tell you to be hopeful that they are fighting insecurity. We hear of more Nigerians die every day. We hear of more adoption every day. Every day. They just tend to be hopeful that the economy they are working on the economy, like, things are cheaper. You see more beggars on the streets. You see more Nigerians that cannot feed again. More children are out of school. They tell you that they are giving out student loan. Student loan. Look at the percentage of students that are getting it. I have 3 children in the university. None of them have gotten the student loan. I thought my children apply. I can't pay. Yeah, they are not getting it. They are in private and state institutions. They are not in private university. So what are we talking about? So there's nothing to be hopeful about this. Let us just begin to wallow in this where we are until we are tired. When we are not tired, then we don't know what to do. I think we are still enjoying the system. Don't expect anybody better than Mahmoud Atiku in 2020, the new INEC chairman that is coming.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Elvis Elimehele, for giving us your time on the World News at 6. We sincerely do appreciate your input.
You're welcome, Esther. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just before we go, let's look at stories outside the shores of Nigeria. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has disclosed that Britain must defeat rising anti-Semitic hate after 2 people are killed in an attack at the Manchester synagogue. Directly addressing the UK Jewish community, he says he will do everything in his power to give the security they deserve. 2 people died and 4 are in hospital after a man drove a car at members of the public before stabbing people. Police have declared it a terrorist incident. Police shot the attacker dead within 7 minutes of the first 999 call. Officers later made 2 other threats. Here's what is been actually put out there. Police say a large number of people were worshipping at the Heaton Park synagogue today in Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. All right. And then Home Office data is suggesting that religious hate crimes against Jewish people in England and Wales have doubled in the latest year. Police recorded 3,282 of these offences in the year ended March 2024, up from 1,543 hate crimes recorded the year before. Offences against Jewish people made up 1/3 of all religions' hate crimes recorded by the police. And that's a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening and thank you for listening. To join us for the evening rush at 7.